Welcome to West Country Wanderings and welcome to my monthly vlog. My vlog for the month of November, which I think is the fourth one that I've done. If you're not familiar with the format, every month I come to a certain location in the region that I cover and I tell you a little bit about the history of the area, some quirky little facts, and we have a tour around. And in the process of doing that, I tell you about what's been happening on my channel and what's going to be coming up for the month of December. So where are we today? We're in the southern part of the county of Worcestershire. We're not that far from the Malvern Hills. We're about 10 to 12 miles south of the city of Worcester and perhaps a similar number north of the city of Gloucester. And we're in the village of Hanley Castle. Not a very well known village this at all. It's quite hidden away. It is off the main road between a town called Upton upon Severn and Malvern, but it's kind of tucked away. You kind of tuck into it and then you go down this unmarked track into the heart of the village. But what a heart of a village it is, well, as you can see behind me, it is a beautiful place with lots of 15th century Tudor buildings, a lovely church. I'll just tell you a little bit more about it. The square, the village square in front of me, has a cedar of Lebanon tree which is over 900 years old. Yes, you heard that correctly. A tree that's over 900 years old. Must be one of the oldest trees in Worcestershire, if not in this part of the world completely. So yeah, it's also got a 15th century pub called the Three Kings. I'll show you that shortly. It's the picture on the pub, the painting that hangs from the pub, is a little bit misleading because it looks like it's something to do with Christmas, as in the three kings that came to see Jesus. But it's nothing to do with that whatsoever. It's sort of due to the fact that there were three brothers. They were from the family called the King family. So obviously they were known locally as the Three Kings because they're obviously all from the same family. And they sold this pub, and sorry, just checking my notes here, they actually sold it in 1710, and since then it's been held in the same tenancy of the Roberts family since 1911, which is quite remarkable. So that's 100 years anniversary for the Roberts family looking after this pub here in Hanley Castle. It's won the best pub of the year through the camera. That's nothing to do with photography, that's a society that promotes real ale, that sort of thing. It's won that many times. So yeah, beautiful little village, and we'll have a tour around shortly. A couple of other literary connections to this village. One of them is to do with P.G. Wodehouse. Now, he based several of his novels in this area, including Severn End. Now, Severn End is an enormous stately home right on the banks of the River Severn. The other thing I had to tell you, we'll actually see Sabrina, the River Severn, later on in this video today. We'll probably go over to Severn Stoke to meet it over there. But yeah, he based one of his novels on there, and it was to do with I'm not familiar with P.G. Wodehouse, but there was a court called Brackley Court, and it was Bertie Wooster's auntie, Aunt Petunia, who lived at Brackley Court, and he based that on the Severn End, which is just over the way. There's another novel connection to this village, and that is a romantic novel based in the Civil War, indeed, and it was it was written by a gentleman called W.S. Simons, who was a local rector as well as being a geologist. In the 12th century, this whole area around here was part of Malvern Chase. Now, Malvern Chase was a hunting ground similar to what we saw when we did the video about Berkeley, and there are still some wild commons around here as well, which are delightful walking spots. Probably won't have time to explore those today, but it will certainly be something that will come up in a future video, probably in the new year. But yeah, a lot of this area is completely unspoilt, and this village here is absolutely wonderful. So we'll have a tour around the village now. Now I'm just standing by the war memorial, which sits right in front of the church here at Hanley Castle, and I've just seen on the little community notice board a story about a little gentleman from this village who sadly lost his life in the First World War. And if you don't mind, because we've got Remembrance Sunday coming up this Sunday, I'd like to share that with you because I think you'll find it very interesting and moving. So the gentleman was called Wilfred George Gamble, and he served in the Worcestershire Regiment, and he was born here in 1897 in this village, and he was the son of Joseph and Elizabeth, and he lived and worked on one of the local farms. He was a dray boy, and he caught the train at Malvern Wells station just a couple of miles over the way, made his way to Worcester, where he enlisted into the regiment. In June 1916, Wilfred Gamble had been drafted into the regiment, and he was preparing for the Somme offensive. On the 5th of July, the battalion went into action in the Leipzig salient in the support of the 1st Battalion of the Wiltshire Regiment. This was an area very heavily fortified by the Germans near a place called Thiepval. I'm not sure if I've pronounced that correctly, I'll just put that in below. For 2 further days, both battalions were involved in desperate attacks and counter-attacks, fighting in a maze of trenches choked with mud and bombs and debris. A staff officer wrote, "As of the 7th of July, when I got to the Leipzig salient, I found the place in a most awful state. The enemy's shelling was horrendous. Trenches were obliterated, and the rain helped to make what was left crumble into non-existence. The dead, dying and wounded were all over the place. The 3rd Battalion's casualty figures were 152 wounded, 15 missing and 21 killed. One of those killed was Wilfred Gamble from this village. His elder brother Thomas was to die in India at the end of the First World War. Now his body is in an unknown grave, don't know where it's buried, but there is a commemorative memorial to him at the Thiepval Memorial in the commemorative area to commemorate the Battle of the Somme. So I'd just like to take a moment, because obviously we have the Remembrance Sunday coming up, just to pay a tribute to all the many men and women who lost their lives in both the wars and indeed other wars and battles before and since. Lest we forget, and we remember them. So behind me is Hanley Castle's very famous Cedar of Lebanon tree, which is 900, perhaps a little bit more years old. It has taken some batterings in storms, but it still survives and still carries on right at the centre of this fascinating and beautiful little village here in southern Worcestershire. And behind me here is the pub, the Three Kings, which I told you about earlier. So what's been happening on West Country Wanderings? I'll just tell you about some of the bits and pieces in case, sorry, not the camera then, in case you missed it. Oh, it's beautiful here with the leaves, absolutely stunning. I've got the view of the Malvern Hills in front of me as well, so I'll show you that shortly. So I did one on Woodchester Mansion, which seemed to go down very well. If you haven't caught that, have a look at that. I had planning to go there for a while, and then of course Halloween came up, and I thought, well, I could turn it into a bit of a Halloween special by changing the music that I normally use to make it a bit more creepy. But I enjoyed doing that, particularly the editing on it. It seemed to come together very well. One thing I didn't tell you in the video itself was when I was filming it. If you cast your mind back, you have seen it. There's a piece where I am doing a piece to camera outside of the mansion. Oh, there's lovely colours here, nice golden glow, it's great. And the gentleman, the manager of the mansion, came out and he stopped me. and he asked me what I was doing. Thought I was doing a commercial enterprise operation. As you know, my channel isn't monetized, and I explained to him who I was, and he went back and he checked and said, oh yeah, he said fine. And he said that, and I then told him, sorry, about the connections, the local connections I mentioned about my father's uncle who was at Woodchester Monastery. The other thing I didn't mention about that was the fact that Woodchester Monastery, and I forgot, burnt down. I think it burnt down either in the late 1970s or the 1980s. I'll check that and put that below. But I will be returning to Woodchester in the not too distant future, because I've got some more tales to tell you, both about Woodchester Park and the village itself. So look out for that one. If you're not already a subscriber and just watching my channel for the first time, hit subscribe and the bell, then YouTube will tell you about that. I'm sure you're fed up of people asking that when you're watching YouTube videos, but it is important for us creators of content to do that, because obviously it makes it worthwhile. We have no subscribers. You're thinking, well, what am I doing this? So it makes it well there. So I don't do this for the money side of it, because it's not a monetized channel, but it's good to get people subscribing, and I love to see your comments as well. Really do appreciate that. The other one I'm talking about that in terms of subscribers, I passed a milestone last week. I've now passed the 100 subscriber milestone, and I feel really pleased about that, and I'd like to thank you all. If you have been a subscriber, thank you very much for subscribing to my channel. And now that I've got 100, I think I'm now on 103 or something, so it at the moment of the time of talking to you. So yeah, I'm pleased about that. What else has happened on the channel? Well, by the time you see this, there'll be another video which will have just gone up. This one will go up shortly after it, called Two Spa Towns. Now those two towns are Leamington Spa and Cheltenham Spa. And on 2 separate days, I went to those towns by train actually, rather than driving and getting stuck in busy traffic, to compare their Regency styles and to give you a background as to how those towns expanded in the 18th and 19th century. And just to have a look around. I enjoyed both of those places, and hope you enjoy the video too. So have a look at that one if you've not already seen it. Sorry, it's got a little bit darker, just going under a conifer tree there. Just to check the old light levels. Yeah, we're okay. Also, I've done one on Tavistock, did a trip down to Devon, and I started that one on Dartmoor, because I thought it'd be good to give a feedback about the town there. So have a look at the Tavistock video. And I've also recently done one at Avencroft, up in the northern part of this county, Worcestershire, near the town of Bromsgrove, which is an open-air museum dedicated to old buildings. Really enjoyed my day there, absolutely fascinating place. Oh, we have a kissing gate. Come out to the caravan and camping club. The footpath continues across this road. It's a quiet country road, so that's okay. Yeah, so obviously it's not open at the moment. We're out of the camping season, but I don't know if you've been to that one. If Roy's watching this, Roy Edwards has got a camper van, so it's called Maisie, and we'll say we're near Upton-on-Severn. So we're just crossing this field here. So that's the Malverns over there. In fact, that's looking to a part of the Malvern Hills. It's the southern tip of the Malvern Hills, called British Camp. Now if you check out my Malvern and Worcestershire Beacon video, you'll see that in close-up, but it's somewhere I'll return to in the not too distant future. Our footpath continues down here. I've never been here before. I only just kind of saw it by accident and explored more. I thought, ooh, that's going to be an interesting one for a video. So that was end of October. Brought us into mid-November. So what have we coming up? Well, the first thing to tell you about, and I've only done one video on this, and I'm not going to go into much detail about it today. I did a video back in the summer at a place called Exminster. In fact, it has its own playlist. It's one video of one at the moment. And that was a personal journey to do with mental health and autism. And I haven't made any more videos about that yet. There will be one coming up in December, however, for a very specific reason. And that reason is I've got a book coming out. It's going to be published by Jessica Kingsley Publications. and it launches on the 21st of December. And it's not just a book that's written by me. The book is called From Hurt to Hope, and it's 10 personal journeys of all people with autism from all different types of backgrounds and their personal experiences throughout life, from when they were diagnosed with autism, or indeed their experiences before they were diagnosed, more specifically before they were diagnosed with autism, and their journey in terms of mental health, how it's affected them on their journey in life, and if they've recovered from that, things they've done to help their mental health during their life. I've read the other 9 essays that go into the book, and I have to say I was extremely moved, and also I learnt much, because obviously I can only relate to my own experiences with autism and mental health, and obviously everybody's experiences are very, very different. And yeah, so I'm not kind of boasting the book in terms of sales. It's not going to be a Sunday Times bestseller or anything like that. There will be a little bit of a media attention around it. It's been compiled by a lady called Mare Elliott. Hi Mare, fantastic lady who lives in Wales, and it was her idea, and I found her on Twitter in fact, and submitted the essay, and mine was one of the ones that she selected to go into the book. So yeah, that'll be coming out, and I'll be doing a video to tell you more about that and reading extracts from the book nearer the time in December. So we've got that coming up in December on my channel. Now, we've also have on the channel coming soon something from Somerset. Now, I do apologise that I haven't actually included anything from the counties of Somerset, Dorset, or indeed just over the way in Herefordshire. That's a big missing on my channel at the moment, but I'm going to be putting that to right in December, weather all being well. I must admit, I really don't enjoy driving these days, which is one of the reasons I caught the train to Leamington and to Cheltenham. And what I'm doing is I've been looking around to see where I can catch the train from where I live fairly easily into somewhere in Somerset that's fairly rural. I don't want to do with the big areas. And the town I've decided upon is a town reasonably well known. Well, I'm not sure actually. I'll let you decide that when I mention the town. The town's called Frome. It has its own interesting railway station, which I'll show you when we get there. So yeah, that'll be my first video from Somerset. And I hope to do something from Herefordshire soon, but I think that might end up going into next year. I'll probably be Ledbury, which is very close to where I am at the moment as well. I'm also conscious of the fact I've not covered anything from, as I say, I currently live in Gloucestershire, but I've not covered anything from the West Gloucestershire end, particularly the Forest of Dean. That lies the other side of the River Severn, and I will be putting that to rights again, there might be something before Christmas, if not early spring, and there'll be some content from there. And I still wish to do something from Dorset as well, and that'll probably be a train one as well. So I'll probably decide upon a train journey to Dorset, a place in Dorset, catch the train. It'll be on the Bristol to Weymouth line, I think it is. There's some places around there. Pick a place, and then we'll do a walk around there to walk and explore around somewhere in Dorset. So that's coming up soon on my channel for December. Now, another video I'll be doing in December, which is more of an urban one. I don't do too much urban ones. I know I've done Cheltenham and Leamington, but they don't come up too often. But I will be catching the train down to Bristol and then changing onto I think it's the Avonmouth line, isn't it, from Templemeads to a place called Clifton Down to explore that part of Bristol called Clifton. And again, it has a lot of Regency stars, so it's continuing the theme from Leamington and Cheltenham, but also we'll be able to visit the famous Brunel suspension bridge across the River Avon. I've been there, oh crikey, again it was probably about 40 odd years ago was the last time I was there. So there is also a railway to tell you about. I don't mean a mainline railway. It's no longer in use, but it's a fascinating piece of engineering, which I'll explain as we get to Clifton. So again, if you subscribe and hit the bell, YouTube will tell you when the Clifton one uploads here on my channel. So what I'm going to do now, adjacent to Hanley Castle is another village called Hanley Swan. It has I think it has a village pond, and again another interesting church and square. It's just literally about a mile or two down the road, so we're going to go there next, and then we'll finish the video today by visiting Sabrina. Probably go to a place called Stoke, which isn't that far from Croom, and that's another video I did. I'm not sure if I mentioned that last time, but again, if you haven't seen that one, check Croom out. I really enjoyed my visit there at the National Trust place. There was a couple of other videos I forgot to mention which I've uploaded in the meantime. There was one on Charlecote Park, which is in Warwickshire. It was a deer park, a National Trust property. That was like the last couple of days you could visit that for this season. Again, it won't be open again now to April, but if you watch the video you get a virtual tour of that one. And I did a railway one at the Avon Valley. I didn't enjoy the drive there. It's horrendous. I don't like that part of Bristol. You kind of have to go around lots of motorways, dual carriageways, roundabouts. Yeah, it's a difficult place to get to from where I live, but yeah, but I did the Avon Valley. Lovely, friendly people that run that, volunteers that run that. Sorry, it's gone a bit dark again. I've just gone under some trees, and I'll just stop there. It's well worth a visit. They'll be doing some Santa specials if that interests you, and then they'll be running proper steam days in the spring of next year. So see you in a bit, and see you at Hanley Swan. I'm now at the village of Hanley Swan, which has a lovely village pond just by the side of a wonderful oak tree which was planted to commemorate the birth of one of Queen Victoria's children in 1863. I'll just put down the name of which child it was. I can't remember. I just read the plaque. Remember the date. It was a child. Couldn't remember the name. Sorry. But I'll stick that down there. But yeah, it's been here since 1863. It's wonderful oak tree here in the centre of the village green here at Hanley Swan. But this has a wonderful village pond with some ducks, so we're just going to have a look at that shortly. The Hanley Swan is about 2 miles from Hanley Castle. Incidentally, Hanley Castle has no evidence of a castle. There was a castle at Hanley Castle, similar to when I went to the village of Elmley Castle on the ridge near Breedon Hill. Now, I will be going back to Breedon Hill too, because there are some remains of that, but apparently the castle that was near Hanley Castle is no longer in existence and has since been completely obliterated, but it was to do with the Malvern marches, when the whole land around here between Gloucester and Malvern was a hunting ground for various estates, and it wasn't divided up until, well, really until the 1700s, so it's only recently been available. There is a common, again the name, my brain today is not working very well, I do apologise. There is a common not far from here, and thankfully the Worcestershire Wildlife Trust has bought some of that land. There's a wetland there. There's also a quarry. I won't have time to do that today. That's definitely one for a future video here on West Country Wanderings. Hanley Swan has a pub, and you won't be surprised to know that it's called The Swan, and it's a gastro pub. It's won many awards, and it's quite a famous pub in Worcestershire for its cuisine. Seems to be pretty popular today. Lots of people arriving there for lunch. A bit too expensive for me, I fear. I'm going to nip into Upton for a quick takeaway coffee and a snack. But yeah, the other thing to say about this village is won the Calagas Award for Best Village in Worcestershire many times. I think the last time was in 2009, but the village pond here and the green is all very, very well maintained. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go back in an easterly direction, a couple of miles from here, in the direction of either Strensham or Severn-Stoke, and we'll see if we can find Sabrina, which of course is the Roman name for the River Severn. Well, here we are at Severn-Stoke, on the banks of the wonderful and magnificent River Severn, also known as Sabrina. Now, next year, in next spring, I'll be becoming a lot more familiar with this river here, because I'll be walking along the Severn Way from where it starts at Plimlimmon in the northern part of Wales, and making its way all the way through into England, into Shropshire, down through Worcestershire and Gloucestershire, making its way to the port of Bristol. So why not join me for that next year? But before that, just wanted to wrap up for today. I've just been into Severn-Stoke itself, which is about a quarter mile over the fields over there. I'll just insert a couple of photographs that I took while I was at Severn-Stoke. Never been there before. It's just off the A38 between Upton-on-Severn and Worcester. It's quite close to the Hanleys that we saw earlier on in this video. But I wanted to include the river for obvious reasons. I forgot to mention when I was talking about videos that are coming up. Now, back in the summer, I think it was early June, I did a video called A Wander Around Oakhampton Station. Oakhampton is in the northern part of Dartmoor in Devon. It's now the second most popular video that I've ever done, and there's a very good reason for that. Not because it's a particularly brilliant video, but because of the topicality of it. On the 20th of November, Oakhampton Station reopens for the first time for passenger trains since 1971. And I'll be returning to Oakhampton Station towards the end of this month. Not on the launch day, because it'll be busy with the press, radio, TV, all that kind of thing. I don't want to get away with a load of other cameras. I'll wait a few days. I'll be returning it towards the end of the month. And I'll also be doing a trip on the train towards the town of Crediton from Oakhampton, so I'm really looking forward to that. If that sounds your sort of thing as well, then please hit that subscribe and bell button. I'll also be doing an update on the Stroudwater Canal, because Network Rail over the course of December and into January are replacing the railway bridge over the Stroudwater Canal to try and make it one bit closer so it joins up with the network. So that's something we'll be revisiting as well. And also my little woodland, which is in Gloucestershire, be doing a winter version of that as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the update of the monthly vlog here on West Country Wanderings from here on the banks of the River Severn. I bid you goodbye and hope to see you all again. Take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, and I hope to see you all again soon. Cheers now. Bye bye.